It's always last minute. They'll say, hey, you got a song on this album, and they'll tell you months in advance, but that artist has recorded 70 other songs since then, and they go back and listen to all the songs, and they say, we're going to pick like 12 out of 80, and they've already recorded your song, gave you the power up, you know, you're like, yeah, I got a song on this person's album. Don't do that. Don't do it. Just leave at the very last minute, and you always know when you actually have a placement because they'll hit you through your split sheets. Like, what was the final splits you guys had for this record? We're sending it to the label, et cetera, and that's how you know, really.
Okay, you can start celebrating then, or
you can celebrate. Yep. You can celebrate a little bit.
All right, so who was your first placement then?
My first placement was actually on a girl named AI in Japan. She was on Def Jam Japan. And I wrote a song for her featuring Lloyd. And that was my very, very first place.
Okay, cool. And what was the first placement in the U.S.?
First placement in the U.S. was the hook that I did for Birdman, Drake, and Lil Wayne. But don't ask me what that song is because I have no idea. I can't remember they took the song. You remember?
Juanita Blow.
Is that it? How's it going? Do y'all? See? No, wasn't that song. I did Juanita Blow. I've written so many songs, like I can't even keep up with half of my catalog, let alone some of the stuff that's just slipped through the cracks. Like that one ended up placing, and then they said they're putting it out, and they put it out on a mixtape, and I'm like, dude, I don't get paid for that. How's that gonna help me? But people knew that I wrote it, so it was cool. It was, you know, it's one of those give and take things you have as a songwriter.
What's the fastest you've ever written a song?
10 minutes.
Top to bottom. Full song, top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
Chorus, bridge.
Top to bottom. I think my average nowadays is 15 to 20 minutes per song.
Y'all heard that? All right.
Okay, there's a philosophy for me when I write songs. When I hear the track, if words don't automatically start flying around in my head, I skip it. Because I automatically know as soon as I hear something, whether I'm going to be able to kill that shit. Sorry for cursing. But it's like, it's instant. It's something that, you know, it's like your soul and that soul of that track just connects and everything just comes out. And so by that time, I'll just say, hey, my engineer already knows. Pick that track, pull it up, he'll loop it from first verse to the end of the hook. About 15 minutes. All right, I'm ready to play. And he'll already have it all set up, and I'll just go and cut the record. Always knows.
Cool. So what is the longest? Like, say you heard something and you're like, oh yeah, shit.
No, the long song, the only time it'll take me a long time to write a song is if the track isn't all that, and I'm not inspired, but the artist has picked it and I have to write to it, then it'll take longer, but it'll probably only take like 45 minutes if that's like the longest. For me, it's taken 5 years to write a record. But then other times when it takes longer to write a song is when there's co-writes involved. And when there's a co-write and you've never worked with a person before and you don't have chemistry necessarily with that person, it takes longer because it's like, I write fast, so I have to be cautious not to just write the whole record and the person just sitting there like, okay, what you got? And I'm like, well, I wrote the song. Sorry. Like, it's almost like you're tiptoeing around making the record just to make sure other people are comfortable, and it's not always like that. There's certain people I can write with, like I can write with Tehran from Rock City. I can write with, there's a few people that I can actually write with. There's just people that just pop into my head because we write alike. He's one of those people that just goes into the studio and just starts spitting out words and then gets it all out. I'm one of those people I just sit down and I just write it out. But we both come back to the table with full ideas like, hey, this is what I have, this is what you have. Oh, okay, cool, let's merge that. Let's put that there. And there's no egos involved. But when you're working with new people and you don't necessarily know the other's work, then it's always like, that line's black, I wouldn't say that. But you know, it's bad, but it's what happens. So that's when it takes longer to write songs. Like I've got put into a session where it was like another young writer. She's really dope, but it took us like 3 hours to write the song. I would have had the song done and cut in 3 hours. Harmonies, everything, ad-libs, done. But I had to literally sit there and like, okay, what about this line? What about this line? What about this line? Because you have to take into account that you're working with someone else. You can't really just step on toes like that when you're put into a room with somebody to work with. So that's when it takes the longest to write.
So do you feel that it's easier to write with a male as opposed to a female?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Either or?
Either or.
Okay.
It can happen either way. It's really about chemistry. Like when I did Akon's writing camp, and we all flew down to Florida. I think it was Orlando, like Johnny Wright's compound. I don't know if you guys know who Johnny Wright is. He's responsible for like NSYNC, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, all of those guys. So we were down his compound. We all stayed there, and so we just set up like studio rooms, like little sections all over the house. Huge house, stage, all this, all that. And we got to just organically work. Like, I just go and one of my homegirls, her name is Blue, she's a really dope writer, and then the producer, let's go write. Oh yeah, that track's dope. And we just sit there, we just jam out. We woke up in the morning, we all worked out together, we ate together, we worked together. And it was a really organic and great work environment because everybody was just they had so much respect for the other people there. So we can organically create without there being egos or anything else involved.
Speaking of respect, though, as a female in a male-dominated industry, do you feel that it's hard to gain that respect and maintain it?
It definitely is, and well, I'm just not one of those people who take shit from anybody. You say something wrong, know that I know my business. I know my music business. You can't talk around those split sheets to me. You can't talk around a contract to me. I learned the business of music so that when I go into a room and I'm talking about a song that I placed, I know what I'm talking about. You can't have an attorney come and just talk circles around my head and I'm like, okay, I'll sign off on it. No. You have to know your business. And aside from that, there's so many women who are just okay with doing anything for a beat, or anything for a song, or anything for a feature. You have to hold up your standards and stay strong in them. Like, people will try you. Somebody will come in and be like, oh, what do you think? Can you do this for free? Is my light bill free? It's very real questions. I'm not gonna ask anybody who creates to do anything for free because I know that's how you live. And when you have women who just do whatever, you just have to be known as one of those who don't do that. Nobody tries me now. When I was younger, people would just, tiptoe around it, but I always had good people around me who would just kind of block them, so they couldn't get through, couldn't infiltrate. But if people try it now, I'm like, are we working or you trying to go do something else? Because I'm not doing that. And you just have to be able to just cut it there and then get straight to the business.
So you would say it is very important to know your business, read up, and
it's the most important because without talent, there's a lot of talentless people who actually do get put on because of their relationships. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And they know how to maneuver and finesse and get whatever they need done to get where they need to get. But if you have talent and you know your business, you are a threat you're just one of the biggest threats because it's like you know how to capitalize off of your talent. It's not like you're just making songs and then storing them somewhere and sitting down. You know that you can take your songs and give them to licensing companies so they can put them in movies or commercials. It's like you know the business, you know there's different avenues to getting revenue and to actually getting your music out there. So business is very important in knowing. I heard that there was like a question about split sheets and stuff earlier. You got to know your splits when you finish records because say a record takes off and at first when you did the record with whoever you did it with, y'all cool. Everything was all good. Everything was all good just a month ago. And then the song pops off and it's time for the label to say, okay, who owns what percentage of this record? Hey, bruh, nah, bruh, I wrote both of them verses, bruh. Nah, that wasn't you. Then there becomes a problem. Y'all ain't friends no more. because the percents ain't there, and there's money involved, and money makes people change. So as far as like when split sheets, like stuff like that, I would say always do them at the end of the session. I don't even always do them at the end of the session, but I don't do them at the end of sessions where I respect and I know the people. I know you're not gonna have an issue because we've done business before. We've done placements before, and we've never had an issue. But when you're working with new people and you're just trying to get established and establish yourself as a business person in this industry, make sure that you take care of those essential things.
What do you love most about the industry? Or would you rather say what you hate most about the industry first?
No, I can say what I love most about it. I love to meet different people. I love to create with different people. Creating, it's like when you get into a studio with, who's just saying, I'll say like Focus is a sitting right here. First time I worked with Focus, he didn't know me. He just knew that some people said I was dope. And so I walked in the studio, he's like, yo, I gotta try something to it. So he left, and then when he came back, I had the song cut, written cut. He was gone for like, I don't even know, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, done. But it's because of the energy that he had, and the spirit that he had, and just working with somebody new, you just get that feeling, I can't explain it. Like, just working on new music is always something amazing to me because it's whatever you're going on through in your life or somebody else is going through, you can write about it. You can write through it. Like, if you're depressed, write through it. How do you think Adele got Grammy? She went through the horrible breakup and wrote a song about all of the parts of it and got Grammys. So, like, it's very easy to be inspired if you are inspired by everything around you and everything that happens. So that's probably the best thing I like about the industry is just getting to work with different artists, like my idols, people that I thought I'd never work with, working with new people, because I'm always inspired by everything. Like, the best thing is to never feel like you know it all, or you've learned it all, or you've done it all, because the industry is ever evolving, ever changing. There's always going to be somebody new and dope coming up, always. So as long as you're in the industry, you're in business, and you just do good business with people, you'll always be learning, you'll always be creating, and that's the best part about it. Huge.
The hatred.
Hate. The thing I'd say I hate about the industry is probably the politics. The politics sometimes override everything. No matter how great your song is, if it's not something that is completely attached, if this person doesn't get a cut off of it, you're not getting that place. If you're not signed to this person, like I've had a placement pending on an album before, that artist tweeted the lyrics, all of this other stuff, then they wanted to sign me to that label. I didn't want to sign to that label, because you don't just go sign anything for anything. You have to know your worth as a songwriter, artist, etc., producer, whatever you do. So I didn't sign it. The song didn't make the album. Period. And at that point, there's no way you can take it. You just kind of learn case by case, like how people are. Then you know how to deal with people. When you see them again, you've got a placement. Yo, what's up, Asia Bryant? What's poppin'? Yo, I see you out there working. Yeah, okay. I see you out there working too. What you working on? Oh, how's that going? Not well, huh? Great. I mean, because karma's always going to come back around. So as long as you just stay doing good business, that's the strongest thing I can say about it, because all you have in this industry, especially as a woman in this industry, is your talent, your product, your respect, and your word. That is all. Once any of those are tarnished, you might as well just wrap it up and just, when people actually do something, all right, cool. At that point, because nobody respects you. It's so easy as a woman to lose that in this industry. Guys can do whatever they want to, because they're men. Men, you know how you men are. Not saying that in a bad way. But I mean, guys can, go to the studio, have a whole bunch of hoes, do this, do that, have a wife at home, whatever, blah, 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 everything's cool, nobody judges you. A woman can't do that. A woman can't, she may legit fall in love with somebody in the industry. And it may not work out. If she ever dates anybody else in the industry, she's a hoe. It's just the way it is. It sucks, but that's just the way people in the industry look at it.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that the artist tweeted your lyrics and even went all that far, but because you didn't want to sign with the label, you didn't want to place the record. So did you, in those cases, do you get an advance to write something, or is it strictly once it's placed?
Here's the thing that sucks about being a songwriter. If you are not an established songwriter and you do not have something worked out with a producer, you do not get paid to write songs for artists. It sucks because we have bills. We have things that we have to do in our lives. Like we can't just write all these songs for people and then never get paid until the back end. That's the way it is. You don't get paid until after the album comes out, months and months, almost a half a year to a year after you've already placed an album. Because that's when they start recouping all the money and going through and collecting from all the other avenues, and then they give you a percentage. That sucks. You do not get paid in advance unless you're an established writer. Like certain sessions, I'll go in and before I do anything, I'm getting paid. Before I write the song, cut the check, lay it there, let's get to work. It just depends on who you're working with. It depends on the artist, the caliber of artists, but most writers don't get paid. But if you're like a Rock City, they're getting paid before they walk in the studio. They haven't even walked in. They haven't pulled up and they already have a check. That's where you want to get as a songwriter. You don't want to just keep writing and writing and writing and making all these records for projects that may never come out and you just writing songs. It sucks so bad. And I wish there was something that they could do to change it. And I know I always fight against it, but like for placements, like, okay, like stuff with like, I do a lot of work with DJ Mustard. So when we work, if you place anything, I'm putting my fee on top of his production fee. It's the best, easiest way to work it out. I'll figure it out with the producer first. And say, hey, can you put my fee on top of your fee? So when they get paid, because producers get paid up front, songwriters don't. They just give me my piece and you move on. So that's the easiest, non-shady way to talk about that.
Have you ever been put in a position where, I guess, as an up-and-coming, when you first started out, did the artist want to take your portion of the song?
Well, that happens now.
Recognition.
Well, no, I've never outright sold a song because it's not smart. Because if you outright sell a song, then that song goes up and you get nothing. Nobody knows you even wrote it. Nobody knows you had anything to do with the song. You're like, yo, I wrote that song. No, you didn't. On this paper, it says that so-and-so wrote the song, and this is their percent, and blah, blah, blah. I would never recommend that somebody outright sell a song, ever in life. But even to this day, there's records that come out, and when the artist gets on it, they take a percentage of that song because they're the artist. And they're going to be the ones to blow it up, regardless. So, like, J-Lo, recently, I wrote a song with Chris Brown and Diane Samhook, and Diplo did the beat. Diplo is the producer. He also sampled himself and put himself on the song. So he got, I want to say 65% of that record. It may have been 70. It was 70, I'm lying. He took 70% of that record because he did the production, so 50% went to him and his team, and then he gave himself a 10% sample. Yeah. And then the rest of that had to be split up between me, Chris Brown, Samhook, J-Lo, Vinnie Medina, Corey what's his name? Corey, Ruby. It was all types of people on this record, and you've never done anything to the record. It's like, where were y'all at when I was in the studio? Because I don't remember saying none of y'all.
So essentially, you got 2 cents.
Oh. Asia did not get 2 cents. What I get? I got like what? 15% of that record? Regardless? Because you also have to have somebody who's going to fight for you in those situations. Because those big labels, the big lawyers, and the big people, they're going to be like, no, you need to do like 2%, 5%.
Right.
But like in those situations, you have to have somebody fight for you. That's why it's so important to know the business aspect of it. You have to know, like, okay, this verse is worth this much, a hook is worth this much when you're doing splits. That's so important.
So in that case, I would say it's safe to say that you like to write alone versus collaborating.
It's, you know, it's not even about the percentage at that point as far as writing for me. I like writing alone because I'm free to create whatever I want. And I like working alone. Because like I said, I write fast, and sometimes it can come off wrong to certain writers, and I don't like to ever do that. But like just as far as writing, I like to go in, I turn all the lights off. Like I like the room pitch black dark. I don't like seeing that, but the studio, like the little lights on the board.
How do you write?
On my phone.
Oh,
On my phone, I write on my phone. And I just go in, and even like when I record with all the lights off, I like everything in the dark because sometimes as a writer and artist, you got to make the ugliest faces, the ugliest gestures and stuff to get the record out. And I don't want people looking at me, judging me. So I like to be by myself. Just me and the engineer and the producer. Sometimes the producer got to leave too. Like, look, bro, I love you, but listen, I'm about to do some ugly things in the next 10 to 15 minutes. I just need some time to myself. You should do whatever you need to do to get the record out. So stop looking like that, because I'm not even talking about nothing nasty.
Damn. Who was your favorite person to work with, artist-wise, to work with thus far?
That's hard. That's really hard. I don't know. That's hard because some of the artists I've worked with, they're all equally awesome. Like, what I like about them is they're millionaires and they're humble.
Okay, call everyone.
No. Well, I'm saying millionaires because I know a lot of people who aren't millionaires, who aren't humble. And these are people who have movies and multi-million selling albums, and they're humble. And they're eager to get back in and get in with the new guys. Okay, so Asia, what do you think about this? What about this one? But, you know, like that inspires me because it's like, at that point, you don't have to do this. You have money, but you're still eager to learn and still eager to create, even now, while you got, I don't know, a couple million, billion in the bank, and you're just like, Asia, what are we doing? We're working on. It's like, what? I feel kind of special. Like, hey, girl. Like, so it's like, I would say all the artists pretty much give me something different. So I can't pick one over the other because it's always a different experience. But they've always been humble.
I was going to ask, who's the least favorite? Was there anyone that...
I would never say.
Is there anyone that, okay, just...
I would never say on camera.
Say yes or no to the situation. Was there ever a situation where you met this total idol person? Oh my God, that's Michael Jackson. I'll call him because. But, you know, you were starstruck. I'm sorry. Bro, never tried to talk about Michael like that. But, you know, we love Michael. Okay. But, you know, you were totally, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then they were total, bitches. In real life?
Not yet.
Bitch. Man or woman?
Not yet. There are certain producers that I won't work with in the industry due to their attitudes and cockiness and there's certain people that I don't care how many placements you have, I will not work with. And that's only because of who I am and who I am as an artist and a writer. I don't feel like I need to sacrifice my integrity or my respect to work with anyone because I make great music and eventually, even if it's not for that person, it's going to come out and it's going to be amazing when it's my time. But I'm not going to let somebody belittle me or my work because of what they've accomplished because that's not fair because everybody has a season. And a lot of producers forget, a lot of songwriters forget, a lot of artists forget that those seasons do not always last. And the same people you did want to work with while you were up are now coming up and bypassing you. And now they're up there, and now you need to work with them. You didn't want to work with them before. So that's That's what I'll say about that.
Okay, so who are some of your favorite producers to work with and why? Well, because they don't have egos, I guess.
No, some of my favorite producers, there's one in the room who I've been working with for years, and we're going to work when we get back to LA. He's sitting in the front row, fidgeting with his camera. His name is Focus. He's shaking his head. He's pretty freaking cool.
Why? Why do you like Focus so much?
Focus is just cool, man. Like, you just get in the studio, you know you're about to come up with something awesome. It doesn't even matter, it doesn't matter whatever you were going through previous to getting to the studio. Get into the studio, it's like a big teddy bear, and it's just, I know, you're supposed to be a thug, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, here, how about this? All the time, on the street. Well, to me, he's a teddy bear. Because I'm me, and I'm a girl, and if he was like a thug, all acting hard to me, I'd be like, no, come on, now, listen, don't stop the madness. Focus, you blush. You're a thug, it's okay. No, there's a new producer, upcoming producer that's also signed to Ron Door. His name is Rocky. He's really dope. And what I love about him is that he can literally make 3 beats within 1 beat. It's the craziest thing ever. And then he can just dissect them and turn them into dope beats. And it's just, I'm inspired by it. Like, I love working with people that I'm inspired by. There's a group named Ambiance. One guy's from Sweden, one's from Nashville. And so the musical differences together is just something different. And let me see, who else? I've worked with so many people, I don't want to be like leaving good people out. Okay, I quit for now.
Have you ever met anyone in the industry thus far that has, after your meeting, you said, you know what, I want to be just like them. They inspire me. That is what I want to be in 20 years, 15 years.
I want to be like Beyonce. I mean, except for I want to also, I'm going to be like Beyonce. Like, no.
Okay, me too.
I want the longevity of the career. I want the respect of the career. That's what I want. I'm not necessarily to be her because she's her own entity. I want the longevity and the success of it. That's what I look at.
Do you prefer a particular sound when you're listening to tracks? Just anything that jumps out at you. If it catches you, it catches you.
I write anything from country to hard rock. All hard, like acid rock. I write anything all the way across the board. Some in different languages. Just depends on what it entails at that moment.
Different languages?
Yes.
How many languages do you speak?
French is my first language. Then I learn English, Portuguese, Japanese, German. I sing in more languages than I speak fluently.
Downloading Rosetta Stone as we speak. Anyone else?
But you know what's dope about that is, a lot of people, like when people get to work with me, they'll see what makes me different from other songwriters. It's because I'm very cultured. You can't just listen to what's here or listen to one type of music. You need to listen to everything. Expand your mind, expand your catalog, listen to country music, listen to things that you don't even like. The reason why is because the more you know, the more you can do. If you've never heard that weird trill on that Arabic track, you would have never thought to put that in a new track that you're working on now. You have to expand it and experience music from more cultures than just your own. Because then that way you'll be able to give back so much more to music in general.
How has music changed your life? How has it contributed?
Well, it's definitely kept me out of trouble. Got me through a lot of stuff.
Being able to express through writing?
Being able to express through writing, being able to sing through pain, being able to perform whenever you just feel like you're just dumb depressed and you're lonely and whatever you're going through at that moment, and you get on a stage and people are singing your song back to you. Crazy feeling. Cool.
So who is Asia Bryant? Why should we like you?
Just joking.
Asia Bryant is this girl. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just real. It is what it is. It's what you see is what you get. I don't sugarcoat. I'm always going to give it to you exactly how it is, and that's through my music, that's through my writing, that's through everything that I do. I'm just going to give it to you. No sugarcoat. I'll only sugarcoat if you're a Disney artist. That's it. If you're a Disney artist, I'll sugarcoat all day. I'll put sugar, powdered sugar, brown sugar, frosting, whipped cream, whatever you need on it to make it
Diabetes.
do whatever it needs to do. I'll sugarcoat it. But other than that, it's like I like to think that I'm a great person. I do great business, and I make great music.
When did you realize that you were dope at what you do? When did you realize it yourself? I know as artists, we sometimes struggle with it ourselves.
You know what? It's funny. I haven't gotten to that moment yet. I still don't even feel like I've gotten to that moment where I think I'm just like super dope because I'm always trying to learn something new. Like I feel like once you get to that point where you just think you dope and you all that, you kind of just hit your plateau and you got to just kind of stay there. So I don't ever want to really feel like I'm just super dope. I'll have dope songs, though. That song's dope. But I'll never just be like, oh, I know I'm dope. I know that you like. Even when I'm meeting new people, like, yo, I heard that you're dope, yo, and I'm like, oh, cool. It's just me. I always say, I'm alright. I do what I can do because I like to let my music speak. I don't like to give people these expectations, and then I play something. What if you don't like it? Like everybody's not gonna like every song that I make. That's fine. It's not for everybody. Certain things are for certain people, but at the end of the day, as long as I'm still willing to learn and still willing to perfect my craft, I think I'll get to a place where I feel like I'm dope. But I think that'll be a far ways from now.
So would you say staying humble is the key to success?
Staying humble is definitely one of the keys to being successful. There's a lot of non-humble people who are very successful. It just means you have to work very hard.
Do you have to help you to get to where you are?
I think being humble has definitely helped get me to where I am because people just, I don't know, I'm good with people. People don't feel like I feel like I'm better than them or anything crazy like that. Like, I don't feel like I'm better than anybody sitting in this room. Anybody could be up here. Could be one of y'all. I could have been back there just listening, writing down notes. It's all about opportunity. When your opportunity comes, are you prepared? How's your catalog? Have you done all your research? Have you really studied your craft? It all comes back to you and whatever work that you put in. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all have the same access. We all have bills. We all have things we have to do. And I just had this conversation earlier. Like, people don't even know I had a job. Even now. Don't matter about placements. Because money doesn't come, like, music checks don't come like that. They don't come like clockwork. You have to wait till albums come out. Albums get pushed back. Albums may not come out. And if you're banking on that one placement that you thought you had, you're going to be homeless. That's not the way to live. Like, I work a job East Coast time. Like, so I'll work from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. in LA, and then go to the studio afterwards. Niggas in LA don't know that about me. Because I'm always in the studio. I'm always still working. It doesn't matter. You just do what you have to do to be who you want to be successful.
What would be your advice to an upcoming singer, songwriter, producer?
On your craft. That's about it. It's the best thing you can do. Learn the history of music. Learn music in all these different cultures. Like, and don't change yourself. There's a million people in the United States trying to do music that sounds the same. You live here. Your culture is here. Make something that sounds like it's from here. Bring something new. Because I can't do something that you create because you live here. This is where you're from. You know the real knit and grit and organic sounds of the Bahamas, of Nassau. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that I can do to attract that maybe you wouldn't be able to because my mom speaks Arabic or this other. You know, there's certain things that you have that other people don't have. So you use what's special and organic to you and you make it your own. You make the world love it. That's the just stay you, love your craft.
Alrighty, guys, any questions? We're gonna have a Q&A, Asia, I hope you don't mind. Yes. First up.
Hi, I'm Tamil Barnes Tada. Aspiring to be as good as you. I don't know. That's just saying anything blew my mind. I was like, but just want to say my props and it's good that you express this humility thing because a lot of times people say, oh, you accomplished so much, but you're humble. But I mean, it's just who you are and it doesn't hurt. Because a lot of people are arrogant and unapproachable and just suck. It's just the way I do it. My question was, did you ever go back to previously written material if it didn't get picked up?
I didn't used to. Like I try not to write anything twice. But if a song doesn't get picked up, then what I've been doing, and this is something new that I've been trying to do, is even getting the acapellas to my records. Because producers get multiple songs written to their tracks a day. And then you just go write your one song to this record and that's it. Like take your acapella and then if it doesn't work with that producer, give it to somebody else and let somebody else try it. Not saying don't give the producer who initially produced that track credit because if it wasn't for that track, you wouldn't have written and wrote. So it was all inspired. So that's the part of the doing the good business part of that. You have to make sure you take care of everybody involved. But now I've started kind of doing it because I have like a catalog of something over like 300 songs. So like just the old songs that are still dope, I just go back and I'm like, okay, I can do something with that. Let's find the acapella and give it to this producer and let him see what he can do to it.
Robert Gibson, aspiring songwriter. Should you try to get known for a specific genre as a songwriter, or is it wise to have a diverse catalog?
What's kind of unfortunate is really sometimes your first placement is what you get known for. It's not always like that, but having a catalog with diversity, so when if you're going and sit with an A&R and say, hey, okay, Asia, what records do you have? If you can play a record in different genres, then they're like, oh, so you do more than just that. That would be a part of you being prepared for them trying to put you in that box. Since you have to be prepared to not be good at it. No.
Anyone else? Hands?
Y'all quiet today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Travis.
Don't be all shy, Travis. Hi, Travis. It's like, good afternoon. My name is Travis.
Yeah, so my question is,
Use your man voice, Travis. I can't hear you.
my question is, does the hook make the song and does being lyrical really matter?
The hook is definitely the most important part of the song. Not saying it's the whole everything. Everything has to make sense. But the hook is the thing you hear the most. The hook goes down minimum 3 times in a song. Sometimes they double the hook. It has to be memorable, something that if I play the song, you remember it when it's not playing. That's why the hook is important. That melody has to be catchy. It has to be something that's just like, I remember that. Yo, remember that hook? That hook was, like even that, so who was singing it? Looking for you, I can't see you. That Dej, whatever her girl's name is, that Try Me song. Oh, Dej Love. There's a Try Me song out right now. Try Me. It's catchy. The melody is catchy. Try me, dun, dun. It's just catchy, you know what I mean? So the melody is very important. Now, being lyrical depends on you as the artist and writer. Not everybody likes all that lyrical stuff. That's why there's a lot of dumb music that's out. But for the people who are the real music heads, they want to hear something. They want to learn something, feel something. You have to be able to convey that through your lyrics. And you only have 2 verses, a hook, and a bridge to do it. So as far as using the words and being lyrical, I think I definitely am a lyrical person. I don't just go right and any other thing. Good, Travis? Okay.
Hi, my name is Don Dizzle. I'm an aspiring music producer. How do you get all the writers? Or do you even page writing?
I was trying to think like if I had a moment where I had, the only times I have actual writer's block is when this track is just whack. That is the only time that I've ever had writer's block. I can primarily write to anything, even if the track is just kind of like, and I'm being forced to write to it, but if the track is just like, bruh. if the track is in the category of bruh, I might have to be like, you know what, I'm not even gonna play with y'all today. I'm going right to this. I'm so sorry. Do you have any other options? But I don't face writer's block that often. But if I do get to a point where I feel like I'm writing too much of something or like in a certain way, then I'll stop, get out the studio and go try to experience something. You know, go do something fun. Go do something that makes you not think about music. Once you get back to music, it's gonna pop in there. And then having like debates, conversations with just real people, it always gives you something to write about. So just try not to do the same thing all the time. Go experience new stuff and don't make whack tracks. Yeah, all right.
How you doing, Asia?
Hello.
My name is Liam. I'm a mixing engineer and sort of aspiring songwriter. I mean,
Hold on.
what?
Let's give it up for the engineer in the room. Engineers are important.
You're so important because you write the things that I engineer. So.
The engineers are very important and they don't get a lot of respect because they make the artists who don't sound good sound amazing. They make the tracks.
Don't give my secrets away.
If you don't mix your track out right, that engineer will go in and tuck and weave and cross fade and do whatever they need to do to make it sound amazing. So engineers are always like my favorite people. Okay, I'm sorry.
We're kind of getting sidetracked there, but I'll tell you one thing. No, don't apologize, actually, because you're the first artist that has actually acknowledged that to me publicly. Because a lot of people don't notice that those little things that we do to. There's some magic trick that we can do. We just maybe wave a magic wand and everything's fine.
The reason why I respect engineers so much is because, okay, somebody said I have demo artists. So when I write a song and I demo it, I sing very well, and then the artist gets it and they're like, I can't sing that. I can't sing it like that. So then, you know, between me and the engineer, we have to figure out a way to make the artist sound amazing, even though they might not technically in real life sound amazing. That's me and the engineer. That comes from the engineer. The engineer does that really. I just get the emotion out. I get just close enough to the note that the auto-tune will catch it. It's certain things that happen, but in music, all parties of that process are important, equally as important. Nobody over the other. So engineers definitely are like one of my favorite people.
I didn't think I was going to be able to stay for this last one, but I'm really glad I did. Because the whole time you've been talking, I'm just like, preach! Anyway, my actual question was about key changes, actually, because you are a female singer, and you mentioned that you sang a lot of songs for Drake and Lil Wayne, and I guess Lil Wayne is singing, but Drake sings. And well, he engineers sings, but that's for another discussion. And I do work with a female singer in my band, and I've had experiences where, like, because I write the songs for her, she's not a writer, and I find that sometimes I'll write a song and then she comes in the studio and it's really like not the right key for her.
Okay, so what you do is, I'm sure you have a song that she sings or several songs that she sings that she's perfect in that key, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So when you're creating a song, and like if somebody's producing, try to stay around that key because you have to realize when you're singing something the octave below, she's going to have to sing it an octave higher. And an octave higher is probably not what you're thinking. And she probably can't sing as low as you're thinking either. So if you're singing something and it feels low to you, it ain't going to be right for her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, well my question for you was, is that is kind of how we solved the problem. I sat her down with a keyboard and kind of got a feel for her range and where she really sat well. And my question was, have you ever written a song in a particular key and then handed it off to whoever was going to perform the song, and they had to like move the key, and if you felt like it kind of
Compromise the song?
Yeah.
It happens. It happens. There's two ways there's only two ways to actually fix that. It's either to transpose the song, and that's either bring the key of the song down, or bring it higher to get wherever that artist needs to be. But 9 times out of 10, if I do a song that's too high, because I have a soprano 1 range, so I can even do like whistle notes like Mariah, like I can do all the high notes, but everybody can't do that. So that's when you get in and you're vocal producing the song with the artist, and then you find an alternate note that still fits the song, that still doesn't make you lose anything. Because whatever I did, that one ad-lib or that one melody, it's not the only melody that can go in that song. You just have to find alternate ways to work around those type of issues.
I have 2 questions for you.
Just tell you.
I have 3 questions for you. One, can you never call me Teddy Bear again?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No.
2, do you write for the artist that you're working with, or do you write and sell yourself as the brand that you are?
That's a nice question. Okay, that depends. For instance, I worked with what's his name? Jason Derulo has a new girl group, 3 young little girls. So every day before the session, I wrote their whole EP. Every day before the session, I'm like, okay, what are y'all going through right now? What's happening in your lives? And then we just had this whole girl talk. It probably lasts like 30 minutes. Oh, girl, you got this one so cute. Oh my gosh, you know, like stuff like that. But I find out what they're going through, and then I write based on what they're telling me. So I'm writing a song for them that fits what they're going through at that time. Now, have I written songs without an artist in mind that's been awesome? Yes. But what I do, being that I'm an artist and a songwriter, is things that's my sound, I don't give away. I don't shop my sound. Because once I give away my sound, I'm no longer an artist. I've given that to someone else, and now they're an artist, and I'm just like trying to create some other thing that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So if you're an artist and a songwriter, by all means, keep your sound as close to you as possible. Do not give it away unless you're okay with not being an artist anymore. Makes sense? Did I answer the question?
Heck yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Last question, because you started describing the fact that you do vocal production, and I don't think that a lot of songwriters understand how important that is, because it actually gives you a little bit more stake in the song. So would you mind describing what it entails to be a vocal producer, and maybe, I guess, one of your experiences, because not all producers produce vocals.
Right. Vocal production is, like I said, every part of creating a song is just as equally as important as the other. Like we could write a bomb song with a bomb track, and then we cut it, and it feels like something's missing. And you don't know what to put there. 9 times out of 10, it may be a harmony. It may be an ad-lib. There's certain things like that that you have to place in the song. So for me, when I do a song, I'll do all my leads first. Then I'll go and do what I call ins and outs, which is basically me singing the same note, but emphasizing certain words. You tuck them. You don't hear them, but you feel them. You know what I mean? It's certain things that you do so you can feel the music a little more, and it's not something that everybody just knows automatically off the bat. So I'll do the ins and outs on certain words, normally like the ends of my phrases, just so when you hear it's like, you want to sing that word. Almost because just like you hear, like, is there other people singing? No, I hear nobody, but it really is other voices there. It's just the same note. And then 9 times out of 10 on the second verse, I'll harmonize it because I like my songs to build. I don't like to just keep it flat all the way through. Building helps you feel. It's all emotion. Like I feel like vocal producing is like painting. It's like a canvas. It's like you're adding a color here, a harmony there. It's those things that make a song just impeccable. It kind of puts the polish on it. So by the time the bridge comes, I got all these harmonies in the hook. I'm doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm putting additives on it, and it's just, you listen to a song before and after, vocal production is 2 totally different songs. So vocal production is definitely very, very important, and you just have to figure out what works best for you. And then not only that, but not all songs require harmonies. There is a such thing as over harmonizing a song. There's a such thing as over ad-libbing a song. There are certain songs don't even need harmonies. There are songs like that. Like sometimes I feel like, to me, if I pick the perfect melody for a song, if I have the perfect melody line all the way through, I would not need one harmony. Harmonies for extra things that I want to add to it, extra flavor, extra Asia seasoning that I like to put on it. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at it. Answer the answer? Okay.
Good night, Angel. Shadi, singer, no, not singer, sorry. producer, engineer.
I like some fish. My favorite food.
I heard you said earlier, let's just say, you gotta be focused. Don't write a song to it. And like you were saying, you got the acapella back, and it was to write it to, say, S1 or any other producer. I mean, put the vocals to S1 people. Now, let's just say Mariah and Beyonce has the same song on 2 separate beats. Decision making or what will happen there.
Well, here, I would never shop a song or give an acapella to another producer if I'm not completely sure that that song is deaded somewhere else. So I could see like two artists having the same song to the same. However, when it gets to something like that, where it's like a Beyonce or Mariah situation, it's kind of just like weigh your options, where you know you're going to get that absolute placement, what's going to be the best look for you. I would pick Beyonce because most people would pick Beyonce because it's smart to pick Beyonce. Beyonce just wins. She's a winner. I want to be like Beyonce when I grow up. Yeah, this conversation. No, but honestly, it would just come down to that type of thing. But you know what's funny? I had a situation like that with Mariah, except it was the same song. We promised the song to someone else. And they said, hey, we want to buy this song. We'll pay you $65,000 up front. Who this song for? We can't tell you. What do you mean you can't tell me? There's a non-disclosure agreement involved. So you want me to just sell you the song that someone else has already put in a full orchestra on, did all this other extra stuff on this song. They paid to do things to this song, and you want me to just give it to you. But I don't get to know who it is at all. At that point, it's a loyalty thing. Because the person we promised the song to was somebody that is a very awesome person in the industry, and I wouldn't ever want to give somebody something, or somebody give me something and then say, take it back. You know, like that, after I've done the work and put money on that record. I can always write another record. It can always be, I can always do something similar. So I ended up giving that record to the person that I promised it to, and it didn't end up on Mariah's album, which was fine with me, because I'm sure I hope I'm going to work with Mariah again at some point. The opportunity will always come around. If that opportunity is for you at that moment, it's kind of up to you to decide what you want to do.
Hi, Jude.
Oh, hey.
What's up? My name is Judah Belay.
First of all, can we pause? Let's pause. Judah Belay, you can't sound like that. Look at that name, man. My name is Judah Belay. You do that.
I'm talking about things that you can expect.
Okay, Judah, the club.
Yeah. I'm a recording artist, aspiring singer-songwriter. Just touching on the writer's block thing again. You said that the fastest you wrote a song is like 10, 15 minutes. The longest is like 45 minutes. When I write a song, I'm more like melody driven. Like I hear melodies before I hear lyrics. Like I can hear melodies like that. And then lyrics take a long time. Like how important is it for you? I have like a couple of questions. But how important is it for you? How important do you think speed is to like?
Speed is not important.
No.
To I mean, speed. The reason why I think I got so fast at writing songs because when you're paying for your studio time and you have a certain amount of time to get a bomb record done, you just start knocking them out after a while because you gotta get the record done. So I've always just been, and it's not even like I was rushed, but I always wanted to finish a song. I don't want to leave the studio without finishing a song ever. That's just me. I don't care if I have 2 hours. I'm getting a whole song done in 2 hours. I will not leave the studio until my record is done. When I have to leave and the record's not done, I feel some type of way. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna go back and finish it. Can we get some more time? Like, but speed is not more important than the song itself. Certain people take multiple days to write a song. Sometimes they'll write a first verse and a hook, and then just let it breathe. Chill for a minute. They'll come back to it another day and write the second verse, and second verse will be amazing. And I'm like, oh, let me go back and rewrite the first verse. It just depends on what type of writer you are and what type of, how, I won't even say picky, because I'm a professional. Like sometimes I'm like, I should change that word. But I normally do it when I'm in the mood. Like when I'm singing it, like I'll sing it down and I'm like, that don't fit. Hold on a second, give me a second, I'll just rewrite a word. Find something that fits better for me. But it's not about speed, it's about the music. It's about creating something that's undeniable. However long that takes you to do is whatever it needs to be.
You were speaking earlier about painting vocally, and that's something I learned to do over the course of my short career. So I think that's another thing that can be time consuming and something you have to really think about doing, what to add, what to subtract away from the song. So how do you how do you decide, what goes into the song and stuff like that? And also, second part of this question, you spoke about.
Let's do the first part first.
Okay. All right.
First part, how do I know what I need to put in a song? When I write a song and I hear the words, I normally hear the melody and I hear the harmonies. It's like a plethora of things that just go through my mind. It's all in there. And then my whole goal is to pull them out one by one and put them on the track and put them where they go. So by the time I'm done, it's exactly how I hear it in my head. Make sense? But they asked earlier, what advice would I give someone? I said study your craft. When I'm saying study your craft, I mean listen to piano keys, study arpeggios. An arpeggio is a harmony. It's certain things that you need to know as a singer-songwriter to know how to do vocal production. You need to know how to harmonize. If you can't harmonize, you can't put a harmony in a song. So, just listening to, okay, I'll give you an example. One of my favorite composers is Moses Hogan. He's a choral composer. Has nothing to do with hip-hop, nothing. He does all choral music. But the harmonies that man uses is so out of this world that I would listen over and over and over again so I could hear each and every different harmony. And I would pick them out and just study it. You know what I mean? And the more times I listened to it, I found another harmony. Ooh, I didn't even know that was in there. But studying music like that and listening with the intent to gain knowledge like that helps you when you're creating. Because when you're creating, you do your own melody, then all of a sudden you it's almost like you hear it in the back of your head, it sounds like this note should go in there. And that's when you know that needs to go in there. When you feel it this note needs to go right here. It's like a feeling thing.
Good. Thank you. Moses Hogan?
Moses Hogan.
And
you could also listen to something very dope, Imogen Heap. The song is called Hide and Seek. Imogen Heap. IMOGENHEAP. Imogen Heap. Look it up. Even rappers, even producers, look it up, listen to it. It's nothing but vocals, but she's playing her vocals to an instrument. Do you understand? So she's making her voice do harmonies that you wouldn't even think of. But it's studying things like that help you when you're creating, because you know more at that point, so you can do more. All right, go ahead.
talking about separating your sound from the separate artists you write for and stuff like that. How can you do that if you are the creative entity? Like you are creating the song. So how do you separate like your personal creativity from?
I kind of feel like with every song that you do, you're still giving a part of yourself, a part of what you do. Like it just depends on how much of that you're giving. And I kind of look at it like you kind of be like a little crazy or kind of bipolar or have like different people inside of you to really do it. So I don't, I might be like 7 different people when they give that. And that's fine because it works for me. But songs being a song with Rihanna, there's certain things that I would say on Rihanna's song that I would never say in one of my songs. There's certain ad-libs that I would do for a Rihanna song that I wouldn't do for mine. Like if I'm doing something for a Disney girl, I wouldn't do the same thing I'm doing for Rihanna for that girl. You know what I mean? Or if I'm doing a hook for like a Jeezy, I would not do the same type of hook that I would do for Kendrick Lamar for Jeezy. Or for like there's certain, that's why I said you have to listen to everything. Listen to all types of music. So you'll know different ways to do things, different ways to approach saying that one line versus what you thought to initially say. You know what I mean? Like there's always a different way to say something. And how you do that, I feel like it's what categorizes where that song should go, who that song could go to. Does that make sense?
Anything else you want to share before you let us into your musical mind?
I think I've kind of talked everybody's heads off. No. Anybody have any more questions? Everybody good? Okay. What you got?
You like working with new artists?
Do I like working with new artists?
Yeah, opposed to advertising.
I love working with new artists who are prepared. And the reason why I say that is because when new artists, it's always like, yo, I want you to hear my stuff. Is your stuff prepared? Because you have to realize the scrutiny that my peers and people who've been doing it, the caliber of their scrutiny. You know what I mean? Like we listen to music at such a high quality that no, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. Like if I'm listening to a song, something's flat, I'm automatically like, oh my God, it bothers me. So I definitely love to work with new artists, but when you're prepared, if you are ready to work, if you have studied your craft, if you've done your homework, and you're coming to me with a product that's not even 100% amazing, but can, be worked on. It's not just like I did it in GarageBand in my room and everything's flat, nothing's in the right key. I can't do anything with that at that point. So yeah, I do like working with new artists, but if you're prepared. Yeah, question.
Yes. How can somebody work with you?
How can somebody work? Easy. Depends on what you want to do. If you want to, if it's producers, and you can always send me tracks, and I always go through my email and check out my tracks because I'm always writing for somebody. So like I'll pick out the ones I like, I'll put them in a Dropbox. I love Dropbox. It's like my life. And it has like a whole folder full of stuff. So if I'm working in the studio one day, I'll go through it and pick out my favorite track and pull it out. If it's one of yours, I'll email you like, hey, guess what? Just did work.
What about a singer or a songwriter?
Singer or songwriter? Songwriters are a little tricky. Only because, like I said, I write fast. I'm not trying to throw shade. But if I'm in there and it's time to write, like, listen, let's go. What you got? Singers. Love working with singers, especially if you can sing. Because it pushes me to be able to write whatever I want and do whatever I want. Because if you can't really just blow, then I'm limited. Then I have to stunt my creativity to fit whatever it is that you can actually do.
Yeah. So how do we get to you again?
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter, Instagram, all that good jazz is Asia Bryant. That's Asia like the continent, Bryant like Kobe.
Okay.
Very easy stuff. You got tracks and you want to send it to me. Asia Bryant Music at Gmail. Asia like the continent, Bryant like Kobe. Music like music at gmail.com.
No spaces, no underscores,
No spaces, no underscores, no numbers. I don't got time for that.
All right. You ready to listen, to let us listen to what you got?
Sure. Let's listen to some stuff.
And while